Well, here we go, Glenn. We're going to start with the Nautilus, the 31-inch Nautilus, and we're going to start with the systems. And first of all, you have this radio that's marked Nautilus, of course, and it's somewhat trimmed up for this, and the directions are correct. If you decide to use this submarine or this radio on one of the other subs, which you may have to do since the third radio has gone missing, or maybe we didn't get it, I'm not sure which, you can reverse the directions here and reset the trims here. Now, you're a car guy, so you know about this, and that's all you have to do to use this one radio in all three subs. You just have to be aware of it and pay attention. Now, you know the procedure. You stick the charger in the wall and plug in and charge the radio, and of course you should have a red and a green light if everything is just fine. Also, this is your battery, which fits, of course, inside of here. And also, this is your rechargeable battery that I made up pack for your lights, should you want to use the lights. You're not going to see them in the day. This would only be for night. You do have a charger. I know you bought one. I had you get one a while back that should charge all these batteries. And of course, you know about, since you do cars, about charging batteries. You do not exceed the voltage or the C for charging. In other words, with this battery, which is 1250 milliamps, I wouldn't charge this over 1.2 amps. 1 amp's fine. And of course, it will automatically balance and charge because you've got your balancer here, which is hooked up to your balancer. I bought one of these, which are really, really good. And you just plug this balancer into that, and then plug this into this, and then charge your battery. And this will show you, and I will show you very quickly here, you can also use this as a battery checker to check the health of your batteries. Bear with me. I plugged in the balancer cable from the battery going into the balancer and battery checker, and you can see I've got an adequate charge still to test this boat. It's only 2 cells, so we're only seeing the 2 cells lit up, and you'll see they're both balanced. They're both 4.08. So so this works as both a battery balancer while charging. A lot of the chargers come with a built-in balancer on the side that you can also use, but I prefer to use these. You just put it in and then plug that into there and charge your battery. And then of course you always can check when you're at the field what kind of power you've got in your battery. Never go below 3.4 or you kill the battery. To get started, the first thing we want to do is remove this right here. See? Just like that. And this is held down magnetically in the back, so you can just lift this up. Now, I'm not going to hook up the lights for this. I'll show you how it's done, but we're going to test this. Now, sometimes, for some reason, this catches on the wires inside. So beware of that, or you'll rip out your lighting. If that happens, just look on the side, and you'll find the problem. So you can just feel it sort of catch. And what's happening is these wires right here are trying to catch on this, which is to hold down the rubber bands. I'm going to put a rubber band on this to hold down the cylinder, but I don't do it until after I activate everything. Now, you're all set to go back here. You do realize that should you ever need to have to adjust these, you just use a little Allen wrench and loosen these up to take them off, and you can take the cylinder completely out. For the rubber bands, you can get the rubber bands from your hobby store. These are used to hold on model airplane wings for trainers for RC airplanes, and they just will go on right here and hook over to there. But first, what we want to do is turn on the radio, and then we're going to hook up the battery to the system. Okay, so we're going to hook this up. Sorry about all the noise. They're getting a car next door. But basically what we're going to do is just plug that in like so, and the radio will come to life. Now, right now, the motor is running because I didn't check to make sure that the gimbal was at neutral for the throttle. Next thing we want to do is get the battery inside the cylinder. I've also connected the your light battery, because this is part of the weight and the balance of the boat. The boat's been trimmed to accommodate this battery, so even if you're not going to use the lights, you should have them in there. The battery needs to be configured the way you're seeing it. Turned around this way, otherwise you're going to have a hard time getting it closed because you need to take up the slack on that cable. We're going to push that back there, and then we're going to push in, it's very cramped, going to push in the receiver like so. This might take you a few tries. It's not easy, admittedly. Okay. And then you're going to put that on there really tight, like so. See? So you know it's sealed, and you really need to make sure that this is, I don't have it right still. You need this to be oriented this way so that you clear the bulkhead there. There, that's in, that's tight, that's closed. And we should be leak free and everything's in there. Now you want to check the system. Now you want to check everything. You're hooked up, okay? Now you want to hook up your rubber band. And mind you, you're on this whole time. So your battery's going to last a fairly long time, but you know, be aware of it. This is down very securely now. You can see that we're not going to have any problems with that moving. And basically you want to check the system that you got up and down, right and left, forward, backwards, and then you're going to check your ballast system. Make sure your pump's pumping up. You press that gimbal inwards for up, that inflates the batter, okay, and then to the outside to dive. The vacuum will pull the air out of there. If there's no leaks or anything, the system's going to work just the way you see it. Pump it up. Okay, and then that way to make it dive. And you can do it incrementally too, so you can dive a little bit. If you can go very, very slow, you can go little bits to come to the surface, or little bits to go down. You don't have to, you know, maybe hover. But we're going to set this boat so that it always comes back up to the top. So before I put it in the water, I'm going to blow up the bladder all the way like that. It will slowly leak. The system works that way. Not water, but air back into the system because there's a vacuum in here. But now that I know everything is correct, I can go ahead and put the top back on, and we're going to test the sub in the water. So I'm going to put the top back on. All you do is put it down like this. If you were going to run the lights, you would hook the lights to this connector here, and that'll pop your lights on. For now, we're going to leave it off. I'm going to close it. You make sure there's no wires coming out the sides here. Sometimes they'll pop out the side and it won't be able to shut all the way correctly. See that? Right there. It ain't supposed to be like that. So, and that's the one to your light. So now we're clear. Okay? Then we're going to put back in. I'm going to move the camera out a bit. I'm going to put back in the probe. It's like that. That holds your top down. Next thing we're going to do is put it in the water. And hopefully, I mean, it's been 4 years. We're going to see if this is still balanced. Takes a minute for the water all to get in there. And she looks like lisping a little bit. So we're going to have to retrim this boat. Okay, so it's working out really, really well. The boat's still pretty darn trim. I've got forward, I've got backwards, and she's right now the bladder is all the way empty, and you can see the way she's slightly sitting above the water line. If I turn on the pump, we'll come up to the surface more. Takes a minute, she'll come out of the water. And then to dive, of course, we go that way, and that lets the air out, and down she goes again. Now, she's not diving all the way under, because if you ever have a problem and it goes all the way, you know, you run out of power or anything like that, what's going to happen is it's going to float back up to the surface every time. Now I've retrimmed the boat a little bit of weight on that side, so you sit really nice and level. What you want to do is press it under the water and kind of bank it and tilt it. You see that air burping out of there, Glenn? Now you want to get that air out of there. There's some that will also stay always in the wheelhouse. But now I'm going to press it to the bottom here. And by the way, we are not leaking all the way in the bottom. And you can see the air that's in there still. And she's coming up really, really well. That's how it should come up. See, a little bit bow first, not bad. The bladder's fully deflated. There might be a little bit of air in there, which is why she's sitting a little higher than I want. But this is perfect for running this boat, because like I said, if you ever have a problem, I can't show you going and diving under here, because I need some forward speed a bit to bring it under, but not much. As you can see, I'll just put it down like this. I've got the throttle on, and there she goes. So she will stay under too, as long as you hold a little bit of down on the radio here. I do not have access to a pull anymore, but hopefully you can see that, well, here, I'll bring it over to the camera. You are going to be pressing this slightly forward as you go forward, and this will cause her to go under all the way. Now, you can put more weight in it so that this will go all the way to the bottom and come back up again, no problem. But this is sort of a neutral buoyancy trim, and it's the safest one for this boat. Raise it up out of the water now. And there you go. She's sitting up out of the water. We're still lisping a little bit. I can fix that still. But that brings her up out of the water. And then, of course, the dive, I'm going to move the stick this way, and down she'll go again. So just the frog eyes are just sticking up out of the water. And that way you just need a little bit of forward motion, and she'll just go right under, see? That's how easily she goes under, and she'll stay under as long as you hold a little bit of dive. If you lose power, anything goes wrong, she's sitting at you get to the bottom, she's going to come back up. But of course I can bring her up faster just by pumping the bladders. This boat is operating absolutely perfectly. I would not do a thing to this boat other than run it in your pool with fun. Now let's hook up the lights. This is the Nautilus, as you can clearly see, and I got her in the water and I got the lights on, and she's sitting on the surface right now. She doesn't sit that high up, about where she should if you're going to launch that boat back there. We got our forward, we got our reverse. Okay, we got the lights are on. Now I'm going to dive the boat. And we're going to dive nice and slow, just like a real submarine. I'm going to go forward a little bit. Turn the boat back here. You should be almost on the bottom by now. The trim is really nice. Boy, does that look neat or what? I mean, it's just floating above the bottom there.
And I can bring it up a little bit, put a little bit of air in it, and we'll sort of hover it. It's pretty good control. It really is. I mean, this is RCABS at its best, I think. I could never, ever, ever, ever do this in a pool because with the test tank, thanks to Mary, I'm able to actually see the control you really have with an RCABS system. I mean, it's not like a piston, but it's really close, and I can hover pretty well for what this is. I am really, really, really pleased with this boat. I'm just going to back up a little bit here, and you see how she stays under the water, and she's staying at level. Now I'm going to run out of tank here in a minute, so I'm going to go forward a bit. And then I'm just going to take it right to the bottom. It even sounds like the Nautilus. Got that whine to it. I don't think you can hear it because of what I got on. So I'm going to go to surface, and we're going to go to surface fast now. And it takes a few seconds, but she'll come up right out of the water the way she's supposed to. This boat is absolutely perfect. Everything is perfect on it. I couldn't be happier. This concludes the test of the Nautilus as we dive, dive, dive one more time. Crash dive this time.
Okay, Glenn, this is a perfect submarine. Now, I know I talked about in the beginning of this that it should be sitting, in other words, at just barely at the top of the surface as sort of a safety. But the way it's trimmed right now, it will work just fine. Just keep in mind, do not dive that all the way to the bottom of the deep end of your pool, because the pressure down there could make it difficult for the bag to inflate again. I haven't really run into that problem, but it is a possibility. So I would just avoid that. Or now that I've got this retrimmed, just add a little piece of foam here. I mean, just a tiny piece, and I'll send you some foam that you can put in there just so you can have that little fail-safe. So what we're going to do is pull this out, because it's not hard to trim these boats. We're going to pull this out. There we go. The probe, the shaft, whatever you want to call it, the ramming probe. And then we're going to lift up from the back. We're going to open this up, and we're going to disconnect our lights. I'm just going to sort of sit it this way. If you don't have anybody to help you, just do it like that, and then break the model. And then just disconnect that like you saw. We're okay. You can see that you can add like a little piece of foam right to there. I would do that rather than take away weight, because this sub is trimmed so perfectly. I wouldn't mess with it. Okay? So there is no water in the cylinder. If there was any water in the cylinder that leaked at all, then I would recommend that you undo these two connectors here I showed you, and remove the fuel tubing to the prop shaft, and take it apart and let it dry out, and put it in a box and send it to me, because I can pressure test it, find out where the leak is, and send it back. But I have never had a problem with one of Big Dave's cylinders. This thing is bone dry inside. I mean, there's no water in here of any kind. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to remove the rubber band here, like this. And I think you can, just making sure I'm not blocking camera. What we're going to do is we're going to lift this up now, like so. Okay, and we're going to open this. And we're going to disconnect the battery, like so. These can be a little hard to get apart. These are these Dean's connectors, and they can be, do not grab it by the cables themselves to pull them. Grab it by the connector only. Now this is completely dry. You can see there's no water got inside. You can see that there is some water that's on the outside. So that can fool you sometimes, but there is no water on the inside. None that I can find. So we're in good shape. No leaks. Now you can, I would leave this open after run. I'd make sure, of course, this is dry down here. Normally I remove the cylinder completely every time I run the boat, but you can just kind of do this. Make sure it's dry in there, because you don't want to get the receiver wet. And just leave it apart. So that if there is any slight moisture in there at all, it will be able to dry out. Now you're off. Put your batteries away for the next time you run it, and that's it. I mean, basically, you can put back this rubber band if you want. I just put it back like that. I don't do it double. And leave it open. I keep picking water up off the table. And just leave it open, and I always put this back inside so the water can really slide onto that, but just leave it open and let it dry. And that's really all there is to it. I mean, you're going to run your battery down, of course, and we've run this a bit in the test tank here. I'm blocking camera. We'll check the battery real quick, and we're going to put that in there like that. And we can see how much battery we use. And we ran it down a little bit. We're at 3.98 now, but not a lot. And we were on for quite a while. So, and went up and down, ran the pump a butt. So this is going to work for over a half hour, this battery, easily. And when you get down to, once you get down halfway, I'd stop using the battery. That's what I usually do. But you'll know, because the boat will not have as much forward speed. It will slow down. But I wouldn't run this boat for more than 15 to 20 minutes just to be on the safe side. You probably can run it as long as a half hour. You can also buy more of these common sense batteries. They aren't very much money. And flop them out if you feel like running this submarine all day long. This is a great sub. You're in great shape with this one. Okay, Ben, here we go. This is your Akula, your Dumas Akula submarine, which is a basic diver. It has no ballast system, nothing hard to operate. You just separate it like this. It's got magnets to hold it down. You'll see that there's these little tabs, which this part of the model I never like, but these little tabs right here and here and here and here, and those there, they fit inside. There's one, you see these two here? They go underneath, like so. This is the one thing that I don't like about this model. And these tabs you saw underneath here, they go on the inside, like so. And you got to kind of look at it when you're closing it and make sure that your tabs are inside the hole, and then it closes up real nice, just like you see there. And it's, see, I missed one. There. And then it stays down really nice. Okay, to open it, it's pretty simple. You just do that. I'll explain some basic stuff here. This never has to come out. This should be you blow on this tube here after you remove this piece of brass right here. This is how you can check for leaks. I haven't, but I'm pretty sure this is going to be leak-free. It always has been. If by some chance, and it has had water come through the seals sometimes, all you do is unscrew this cap after running it and let it vent out and dry out. You can even get a syringe down there and suck the water out, but you probably won't have to. I think I got water in here once when I was testing it. It was a seal back here, I fixed it. So I've just pumped this up with some air. I'm going to pinch this, pull this out, and see if I've still got pressure in there. Lots of pressure. So that tells me that we really don't have any leaks. The first thing you want to do, now this is the Shark radio, because remember, we're missing that one radio, or we never got it. I think that's the case. I'm not sure why. I think I already had a radio I was using in one of yours that was mine, or something like that, but whatever. This is for the Shark, which is the smaller one, but I think these are both oriented the same way. If not, all you have to do is hit the reverses. So I'm going to turn the radio on. You see we got a red and green light. And now making sure these gimbals do not return to neutral like they do on the cars. So make sure it's in the center so that the motor's not running front or back, forward or backwards. And then very simply, you've got these two connectors here. Your battery is permanently inside this model, sealed into this container here. And this is Tamiya style connectors, which are not the best, but that's what they have you use. And you push those together. And they're hard to get together. There you go. And that powers you up. To charge it, you unplug this, hook it to your charger, and charge it. Pretty simple stuff. Up, down. We still have some sticky movement here, which I'm going to fix by putting some silicone grease on it. Usually I put this in a little syringe, which I don't have handy, but I'm going to put some more of that silicone shock oil for RC cars, which you probably have. I don't know why it's so hard to move, but it is. I'm going to play with this a bit, see if we can't get it to be a little smoother. There it goes. Now it's smooth. Let's have the useful one. This is nice and smooth. Forward and reverse. So you're set to go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put this top on like I showed you. This is the easiest sub in the world to operate. You put that on the top there, check to make sure our tabs are on the inside, both sides too. Check this side, that seems good. You can hear them pop. Okay, that's it. You're ready to run the submarine. It's that easy. So we're going to shift over to here to the test tank. So now we're going to put the sub in the tank. Now remember, this cannot dive on its own. It has to dive by moving forward. Now the first thing we're going to do is get water in it. I usually just push it down and let it vent the water. Hopefully you can see that. And I'm going to put it on the bottom there. We're going to let it come up. It looks like it's balanced very well, so we don't have any problem there. We have a little bit of trapped air there. There it goes. We probably still have a little bit of in there. You can see it. All right, you get the idea. Now, this boat has a lot of power. Hitting those, so I think we probably do need to trim it. No, it's trimmed good. It could be a little bit more level this way, but it's just about right. We need a tiny bit of weight in the back, so we're gonna put that in. And what's great about this submarine, as opposed to other submarines, is how easily I can take a little piece of lead weight. I don't need much. Just set it there and see what that does. I pretty much did it, but I could actually use a little bit more. Let's see. Try one of these. That's perfect. That's exactly what we want. This will get glued in with silicone afterwards, but for now we can just pop it open, toss that inside. We're good to go. Makes it really easy for trimming, don't it? Okay, so now we should be nice and level. And we are. And that's how this boat sits. It sits decks awash, as we call it. So, and that's so that it can go underwater with forward motion. That's why it has these big dive planes on it. Now these, you can trim these, and I usually trim them with a little bit of down thrust like this, so that the boat will have a tendency to dive bow first, a little easier. I'm just moving this up, there we go, top. And we're not going to get this to dive in this short little tank. And we just hit, we just bent our periscope. Just to give you an idea how much power this thing has. You can see the water. This thing will really go. And she stays underwater really well. See? So, and of course, as you're going forward like that, and she'll go at a really good clip. She's got a good reverse too, as you can see. But she really, really goes quite fast underwater. It's quite the speedboat. Anyway, there's your, okay, we are reversed. So, this is a good time to show you this. I am pulling back on, let's see, I need to put the screen around there. Okay, I am pulling back on this, and I think you can see the elevator going up and down. So we are reversed. So we go to elevator on here, and we're going to go, we reversed it. So now when I pull back on the stick, I get up, and when I push forward on the stick, I get down. That's all. And there's our rudder, which is also reversed. So I'm going to very simply reverse this. Okay, now that goes the right direction. The rudder is so effective, the whole boat So this is really working very well. I don't see any problems with this boat. I think this really is all there is to this boat. Like I said, if you get a leak inside, it usually is coming from the seals. So you put a little more silicone around the seals and you should be good, because there's really no place else for the water to get in. This boat is really cool underwater if it's under. We'll give it a little bit of forward motion so you can see that happen. Careful, those she makes a lot of noise. And we just lost our elevator, our rudder, which has always been a problem with this boat. You solder those on and they come off. So I'll have to resolder that for you. But other than that, this boat's perfect, no problems. For afterburn on this submarine, of course, your radio is still on after you take it out of the water. You never turn it off before you turn it off here, otherwise you could get servo glitching and all kinds of problems. We're nice and dry inside, no leaks, no problems, no water anywhere that I can see. The only problem is we got to solder back on the elevator, the rudder, that is. So we'll do that. You can also CA it on. Sometimes it can be really hard to solder this stuff on, and it might even been that I didn't solder. No, this looks soldered to me, but we'll just solder that on. It won't be a problem. But the nice thing is, there's no leaks in here. She's all dry. I don't see any water, so we got another good one to go. That's really all there is to it. Then you're going to disconnect this afterwards. Of course, that turns your system off. If I can get it to, these Tamiya plugs can be a problem. Sometimes I'll just take something like this and wedge it in there and pop it. Just like that. So you want to dry these off, even put a little Vaseline on them afterwards. Your battery's good, there's no water in there. And this will run again for a very, very long time, just on the this one battery, this 1500 NiCad, it'll run a very, very long time. But you are totally good to go here with this submarine. It is nice and dry, everything's fine. I don't see any water in there, nothing. So that's really good. Really, really good. And that's all there is to that submarine, Ben. I wish I could have showed it dive, but you didn't get that chance. You didn't get video of this, so that's all right.
On purpose.
Huh?
On purpose, I didn't get video of that.
It's not as interesting. It
Well,
won't die.
because you need to fix it.
Well, even if it was fixed, it doesn't matter. You could have got all that stuff for, but it's just not that interesting. Anyway, Ben, so then afterwards, So anyway, then afterwards, same thing, close it up. Be sure you check your tabs, both sides. You don't have one sitting over the edge like that right there. Pop it inside. It keeps it keyed up so it fits good. These never do fit that well because they're just a vacuum form hull. But this is a great sub because it's very easy to operate and it'll run circles around most stuff at the pond. So here we go, Ben. We're going to do the shark, and the first thing I got to show you is getting the top off and on. Well, there's these two screws up top here. These go in, and there's an O-ring. See it? O-ring. It goes on the end of that screw that goes in there, and that's what seals out the water. And you got two of them. It keeps this compartment from having anything leak into it. The reason that they have these screws here are so you can take this wrench here and go down inside and connect with these screws here. You see these? These are for getting it off and on. These are what pull it down tight. These two screws here pull this down tight into these brackets here and against this silicone seal around, and this is what keeps the water out, okay? It's important that you know that. Also, you see this here? This is basically a valve, just an opening, and you can put a piece of tubing on here and blow in there and put pressure in here if you've run into a leak ever and find out where it's coming from, which would be more than likely from, there's a seal here, and that's external. The rest are internal. So, but there is also a seal there. I can see inside there. They should be okay though. We didn't have any problem with them last time we run it. So here we go. We're going to turn this on. Now the first thing we're going to do, we're going to use the shark radio. We're going to turn on the shark radio like so, and then we're going to making sure you are at neutral on the throttle gimbal. We are going to take this top and put this top on like so. Oh, first, let's plug it in. These are the two little connectors right here. You can see them clearly right there. You need to connect those. Let's see if I can hand that down for you. So we're going to connect those. I'm blocking camera more than likely. I get on this side, and no matter what I do, I'm going to block camera. So, but I'm going to connect these. They're just small Tamiya type style connectors. They have to be connected underneath this. Okay, we know everything is working. They're connected. See, up, down, rudder. These do not move. These can be trimmed and I got them trimmed for down slightly. Okay, it's the power. That's all working good. So now we established that everything is working fine. We're going to put the top on like so. Now this is tricky on this sub. I really don't like this situation, but it does work. I'm picking up some noise from Neville. And so I got the one in there, and I'm starting to screw it down. Now I'm going to go through the hole here. and get the other one and start screwing it down. And you want to get them pretty tight, not really super duper tight, but until you start having a hard time tightening them down. And you'll feel them just kind of reach a point where they won't tighten anymore, and you know you're there. That should be pretty darn tight. Now, this is where you're going to take these screws here, and we have no power. I'm not sure why this is. Oh, there it goes. So we must have a little corrosion in the connector. And now these have to go on. Otherwise, water will go rushing right in there. And you're going to use a screwdriver and tighten these down till the little rubber O-ring is tight. So tighten these down. This keeps the water. Remember, these are so you can get to the screws to lock down the top. And this keeps the entrances from getting water in there. Now, I'm going to pull this off here. And we're going to test it for some air pressure. You can take fuel hose for a model airplane, or you can use like what I've got here. Now I'm pinching this. I'm going to hold it for a bit. And if everything's okay, after a few seconds here, we should get a psh, which tells me it's holding air pressure. And it appears to be. It's holding air pressure quite well. So you can just put your lip over it like I did too. So we look pretty good here. You put this on, you tighten it down. We're good to go. And it's just like a car, so you got up and down. So down is actually when these come up. That'll force the bow down. This way forces it up. And that's all there is to driving this boat. And of course you got your rudder here. And it's a lot of rudder. It's very effective. So let's put it in the water. We got in the water, and I'm noticing it's a little nose down. I'm not sure why that is. But there's an easy way to fix that, and we're just going to put a little bit more weight, or take some weight out, or put some foam in, or something like that in the front. So, as you can see, this thing really gets going. Now I'll just show you really quickly here. It will help those under. Now I've got full under right now, and of course it's making a lion out of me. See how it went under? It's very, very effective. And as it turned out, yes, and I thought so, I had it backwards. So So what we want to do is actually, we want these to deflect upwards for it to go under. You see how it goes right under. There it goes. So that's all you do to go underwater, and then it's like flying a model airplane. You got to have it go up and down when it's underneath the water, and that's really all there is to operating this sub to get it to go up and down. We just have to do a little balance on it. It should be sitting about here, but she's running good. We don't have any problem. Yeah, this is great. This is working just perfect. Now we're going to take it out of the water. Okay, now we got her out of the water. To open her up again, of course, we're going to unscrew these. Very tight little ship. I'm gonna have to do a little bit more of a balancing act on this and get some weight aft. Or take some of the weight out in the front. Now I'm going to put this down aside here. Open that up, twist it a half turn or two. You want to do this equally at both of them. It's a little hard to find the mark. Okay, the other hole, then you undo the other screw. That, untwist. You can tell when it's all the way out. Okay, there's that. Back to this one the rest of the way. I really wish they would have put some kind of guide on here for this. I keep missing it, and it's definitely not ready to come off yet. There. And now this one, this should just come right off. And I'm just checking to see if there's any water in there. It doesn't appear there is any water in there at all. It's completely dry, which is a good thing. Yep, it is. But we do definitely need to have some weight added or shifted. I'm not sure which. There is no water in this submarine at all. This submarine is completely dry and beautiful. I'm really, really pleased with that too. So we know this is fine. Well, so we're going to check that connector, and we're going to rebalance the sub a little bit, and we're going to do that by adding, see, I know this part of the submarine is open to sea in here into water, so I'm going to, there's no place to add foam that's making any difference, so what I do have to do is figure out what is weight-wise needed in the front, but maybe just a little tad of weight in the back will bring the nose up. But either way, the sub will run fine once it's in the water. This sub was designed to go very high speeds underwater. It's kind of like a race car. So anyway, we're going to disconnect the power like that. To charge the battery, you do not need to remove the battery, which is right here. If you do decide to do that, you have to remove this receiver and stuff, and then you can get in there. This is your speed control here. Okay, this is the heat sink on it here. This is your servo for your elevator, and a servo for the, I'm sorry, this is for your rudder, and the servo for your elevator is, where is it? It's right here, behind here. So this is your rudder, this is your elevator, two servos right here, speed control, receiver, the Samba Labs receiver, and your battery pack under here. So that's really basically all there is to the sub. The sub is fine, there's no water in it. It's great. Remember, once again, You can check for pressure inside of it to make sure it has plenty of pressure by using this little valve right here. My monitor's upside down there. To check for pressure, use this knob. This is your, like a tire valve right here. These two yellow openings here are to get to the screws. These screws here that hold down the top, and of course to plug the power in and or charge the battery, it's just those two cables. Very, very simple operation. Almost as simple as the Akula, except that of course you have to get these two screws in. So that does it, Glenn. Your subs are great to go, and I benefited a test tank out of the deal. So I've been needing this for the longest time so that when I do build subs for people, I can now test their subs. Since most submarines are under 50 inches in length, this is really a great setup that Mary found on the internet for $50. So we had to get the filter though, and I had to fix the tank, it had a leak. But other than that, it's great. So you're good to go. You just got to remember to turn off the radio, and you know how to charge the radios. Incidentally, it looks like you will have to be changing the elevator direction on this submarine. Don't forget when you use, but that's the only thing working between these two subs. Keep this radio here dedicated to the Nautilus. And that's it.